Okay, and we're back. Base building and logistics. Now, the logistics does apply to more than base building, but we'll get into all that. We're first going to find a different planet to go to, and we're going to enter God mode for a minute. And there's going to be some crazy stuff, so let me get over there before I kick this off. Hold on a moment. We're going to go to TT, Kua, Prudential 5, because that's the least populated one I know of. And that's where we're going to do our video at. Still, again, on the same server. And I found a really good place to... Nice little beach with stuff on it. Not the best building area, but it'll do. It will do. Alright. Let's see here. Let's find a good place to start this at. Lots of hills, lots of rain, some more distance. I like it. Alright, let's go ahead and switch. Okay. So, base building and logistics. First off, we're going to type in SBP, IM, to make dealing with this video a hell of a lot easier. Then we're going to bring up a base. We're going to use one of the prefabs just to make it really, really easy to deal with. And a few helper vehicles to help us get started so we don't have to worry about too much. Find a really, really simple base here. Ah, that's as simple as it gets. Avalon. Find a good sort of flattish spot to spawn this at. That's flattish. I like it. Looks like enough of it's submerged to not be too problematic. Got a few little spots to dig out in it, but otherwise, it'll do. Got a little landing pad, and pretty much everything we're going to need. We're going to need a few little side nuggets here. Let's grab us a couple of things we normally have. Where are you? There you are. T2 multi-tool. Handful of charges. We'll grab EM pulse rifle just in case. Grab some rifle cells. Grab some cargo boxes. Then we'll grab furnace. And we'll grab this constructor. And I'll show you how logistics and wireless and all that stuff works. Wireless connection mod. Alright, so we've placed down our base. Should probably grab a drill too. We'll use a debug because why not, right? Why not? Leave God mode here. Okay, so here's our base. A couple of things to note about bases. You have a threat level whenever you put down a base, just so you know. If you look in the statistics tab of the P menu, you'll notice where it says base attack over here. It says it'll tell you if there's a drone base present on the planet, which in our case, yes, there is. I have an overall probability of 10.1%, which means I have a 10% chance of getting attacked, and it'll show when the last time I was attacked was. It'll also show the attack difficulty and what makes up that probability, roughly. It'll also show my class size on this menu, and what contributes to that class size, for the most part, like block count, device count, light count, triangle count. Those are your contributors to class size, your major ones. If we click main here, which is normally the first menu you'd see, we can check and see if we have oxygen, power, all of that stuff. Pretty simple menu. Devices, all the devices that are on the station. Signal logic, we can tie devices to signal logic using this menu. So that's the basics of pretty much every single structure that you're going to run across. That's all of its menus. None of the structures are too different. We covered this in a previous video, but if you ever lose a structure or misplace anything, you can go up here to the registry, click it, make sure to show private so you see everything, and you can figure out where your structures are and on what planet they're in. You can also remote power them on or off if you're on the same playfield. You can also remote access their statistics menu, control panel, show on map, and set a waypoint to them right from here. So if I wanted to find this on Artifice, I could click that, click waypoint, and when I get to Artifice, I'll have a marker that shows me where that hover bike is. I don't have to look for it. I just look for the marker. And it'll show me the distance and everything. Really freaking handy. We're going to have to dig out some of our base here, so let's go ahead and dig this out a little bit. Just so we have a complete landing pad. Now, one thing that I don't think they tell you in a tutorial is how to set up logistics. They don't really give a good explanation of that. So we're going to give a bit better explanation than I've seen so far. So we're going to go into our building, and make sure it's powered on. Powered on. We're on a planet with oxygen, so we don't really need it. We have a nice little convenient garden here. It's really small. We have a little space here for storage and constructor and all of that stuff. So there's our storage. There's our constructor. We can throw a furnace outside and tie it to this. All kinds of neat stuff we can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie up I'm going to put up a furnace out here. That is the first thing we're going to do. Because we don't have a whole lot of room inside. So our furnace is going outside. You would normally not want to do this because if the Xerax come and attack you, they're going to blow that furnace the hell up. Then you lose out on some valuable materials. So you try to keep your stuff protected and turreted and all that fun crap. For the sake of our video, we don't care. If I get attacked by Xerax in this video, my apologies. It'll be hilarious. We'll lose all our progress. No. Something that would be nifty to have is the combo texture and color tool, which exists here somewhere. There it is. We are going to color code our stuff to be red so that we know what box is fed by. We're going to do a different box in blue. And I think that'll be it. Yeah, I think that's all we need right now. So, another thing we're going to do is we're going to rename these boxes to make them easy to find in the drop-down menus. Make sure you auto-group if you built the space yourself, because if stuff's not grouped, you can't rename it. At least that's how it used to be. That may have changed since then. So we're going to name this red box constructor in, and we're going to name this blue box constructor out. There's a reason I'm doing this. Just bear with me. And then we're going to tie different box up. We'll use the cargo box outside. To the furnace. This will be our furnace input. We're going to paint that box brown. We're going to paint the furnace brown so we know that they match. We're going to rename this furnace input. Feel free to put LCDs on them if you choose to do so. Now, first thing we're going to do is click our furnace, and you will notice please assign a container from dropdown. Input container will be furnace input. Output container will be constructor input. That way, as we produce stuff, they'll go in the constructor box. I'll show you that here in a minute. Let's go finish our setup real quick. Now our constructor also needs boxes set up for construction, and this will be constructor input and constructor output. Now our logistics have been set up for this specific chain of events. Now, you can also add deconstructors and all that stuff, but that stuff you should be able to figure out pretty easily from this video. Not all that complicated. Now, if you forget or the boxes are remote, you can click in the corner of the menu and pull up the attached box, which will make it really easy to find those boxes later. I generally bury all my cargo boxes underground where the NPC can't get to them, so that I can recover them later should I need to, and just access everything remotely, either through the interfaces themselves from the devices or through changing this interface here. We click F4, it brings up this interface, which is the logistics interface, and you can bring this up as long as you're in close proximity of the structure. You can increase the distance from initial with a wireless device and get a heck of a lot further away. I think it's up to 150 meters, and still be able to access the device. Now, we can go through here and we can select anything with a wireless and change through containers to be able to do what we have to. For the sake of this video, we're using the player connection. And we're going to use the furnace. So let's access our furnace input. We're going to go here and we're going to pull some ore so you can see how this works. We'll grab that little stack, hit F4 again, close up our menu. We're going to drop this into the furnace input. And we'll make sure our furnace is turned on. Now again, even if you're not at the base, you still have access to the base remotely via this menu here. On Residential 5, that's BA Prefab, control panel. We can filter for the furnace, and we can turn on the furnace. Now it's active, so we have remote activated our furnace. Again, if we had other structures and other vehicles here, everything could be managed from one set of windows. Back to F4, as you notice, our stack size has reduced. Now, a thing to note, if you are accessing any of the boxes attached to a device, processing comes to a halt completely. If somebody else accesses a box while you're accessing a device, it comes to a halt. So you'll notice a little connection there. If you need remote connection on your bar to a box, you can click this little button here, and then you'll notice everything turns yellow. That is because your bar down here is now attached to this box. That's basically how that works. That is now part of that box. You can use this to fill boxes remotely while you're looting structures if you have mass volume on. Back to what we were doing. Hit F4 again. We're going to transfer this right back into that inventory and disconnect. There's also a little wireless symbol here that will allow you to access whatever it's attached to and see how it's progressing. Now you'll notice our constructor input box has some more in it. We're going to go back. We're going to go ahead and if you're in any of the boxes that are attached to it, so like watch this, okay? We hit F4. Now I'm accessing furnace input. You notice it's not processing. Now if you go over and you look at one of those boxes at the same time, or you look at the constructor, it's halted. For the entire time I'm in that box, it will not process. We'll stay here a while so you can see what I mean. So it's 49,720 right now. If I leave the box and immediately go back in, it's still 49,720. And it will stay there until I'm out of the box long enough for it to go through. No, the amount doesn't update. It doesn't process squat. I know this is true for the furnace, and I'm pretty sure it's true for the constructor as well. I'll show you that in a minute. Furnaces is definitely true for, but the last time I did this for constructors, it was true for them as well. That's why we don't have constructors on the stations shared out. So if I exit and come back in, it is still 49,720. Now, we'll go to a constructor, and we'll show you that. We got to show you the box anyways. I could remotely manage it, but that remote management crap's just getting to be a bit much. So, I can look in this box and see that there's 720 iron ingot. Now you notice, nothing's going in. Wait a minute. Continue waiting. And continue waiting. Just to make sure that this doesn't come back. Exit, go back in. now it's 760. From the short few minutes we were out, it processed some. But again, if I exit and come back in quickly, it will not. Now, if I access the constructor here, and you'll notice there's nothing in our construction queue currently, I'll go over here and process something. Let's say a stack of truss blocks. We'll put 100 in there. You notice they're constructing. 99, it's all going to our output box. Now if I enter my output box, we have 4. We'll wait a while, long enough for us to have clearly constructed a few. Saw how quick 4 went. Close, reopen, and it still did not update. The entire time, I reiterate, somebody's in that box, your constructors or whatever's attached to it is completely frozen. So if you have some dippy in your group that decides to access a cargo box in AFK, you can't produce anything. At all. It does not continue. It completely comes to a halt. It's the craziest stuff I've ever seen. Again, still at 4. We just closed and refreshed. This is how it works with all of the devices. No. When you're inside the constructor itself, like if I leave this box and I go back to the constructor, it'll go ahead and process normally while you're looking at the constructor. But as soon as you access an attached box, completely halts construction. If one of your buddies, in the middle of construction accesses a box and AFKs, you're completely tied up till either he's kicked or he leaves the box. You just have to switch. And if all your constructors are tied to one box, you get really screwed up that way. We found that out a while ago. It sucks it's like this, but this is how it is for now. There's nothing we can do about it. It's okay, yeah. So that's how it works for furnaces. That's how it works for everything. Survival constructors, only one person can access a survival constructor at a time. A second person can't access it. It tells you that somebody else is in it now. So even if you leave and I leave that menu up, only one person is able to look at it, and it continues chugging along no matter what. Same way a normal constructor does. The only difference is those boxes. If somebody else looks at this box, you'll see that little timer spinning around just stop, dead halt, and not continue making anything. This is why your constructor queues for some people seem to not do anything. Yeah, and that's also why my production facilities are always private too. I have like faction shared stuff, and then I have my personal stuff. And I kind of feel like this is making the game a bit antisocial and a bit difficult to work in team dynamics. Because in the end, having somebody else on your team could really, really, really hurt you. I mean, a lot. Imagine if some guy was connected to the server for 12 freaking hours and just staring at that box. That means for 12 hours, you're going to have to switch to different boxes and change stuff, and then the next time he does it, same thing. It's kind of a pain in the ass. I don't like it. What's worse is you can't access the box to pull your stuff out until he leaves. So you're just kind of screwed. Whatever's in there is locked down. I don't like that one bit. I personally feel that if you're in the constructor, it should lock out everybody from the other boxes. It really should. Mostly so that it continues constructing. Then again, if somebody needs something from a box while you're in there, I mean, it really just should process. It really should, but apparently it doesn't work that way. So that's the long and short of logistics. Now, if we have a vessel that we want to move stuff in and out of, which is why we're about to spawn this, this has the full logistics load in it. Let me get to here, get to here. Let's pull up my Surveyor Class 4. And we're going to let that fall. Plunk. Okay, now it's on our landing pad. Now this thing has a furnace, it has a deconstructor, and it has a constructor, and it's all color-coded and connected. So this dumps into the constructor input, this dumps into the constructor input, furnace is fed from this box here, so as you harvest, furnace processes, everything gets passed over the constructor, and you can just start producing whatever you need to produce as you're mining. Full mobile processing facility. Really, really handy. I love these things. Not something you can do in the game by default. You have to build something like this and kind of cobble it together. Now, best part of all this is when I hit the F4 menu, I can select that ship. Oh, it has to be powered, that's right. I forgot it has to be powered. You don't have a choice. It doesn't need a Wi-Fi connection as long as it's within range. Wi-Fi works without Wi-Fi. Whatever. Right? It's whatever. We'll go ahead and put some energy in this so that we have remote access to the boxes. Powered on automatically. Come out here. And we'll hit F4. And we'll select from the drop-down the Core Surveyor. And we'll select the Constructor box. And then from the base, we'll select the Constructor in. And we can now split our inventory, and it's on the ship. There isn't a furnace for CV. This is an SV, by the way. This is an SV. We sell this on the web store, actually. It's part of the fundraising for our server. It's a convenience thing. That's all it is. Some people just really like them for convenience. They don't have to go back to a base. I mean, its processing capability can be dwarfed by a base. It really can. But for the convenience of processing while you're on the move, it's a really nice ship. Doesn't give you any significant advantage other than you get some processing on the move. That's it. Again, I go back to a base can totally dwarf this. Like in my base, I have 4 furnaces. I only have 1 in this. That's it. So if you just need to go out and mine some iron and you'd like some of it to be processed, or you just want to park the ship and let it process something, you can do that. Anyways, back to our cargo box. Now if you look, we have iron ingot already in the box from the base, and we've managed to move stuff around. Now if I want to take something from the ship and it to the base, I can do that. Click, click, back to the base. Makes managing inventories so freaking easy. And yes, you can edit your configs to allow you to do this in single player. You absolutely can, Life. It's kind of a pain. Actually, I don't know. For a while, they locked that out, and that may still be locked out. But with that being said, I just use the copy and paste tools in Creative to do this. So, I'll show you something else really neat. If you tend to do Creative a lot, I built a model tree where I copied and pasted all the parts I need from everything. It's an SV model tree, basically. So, little side jaunt here. This is my copy-paste palette. Everything I need from bases, CVs, HVs, and SVs is all on this palette, all of it. So when I'm in Creative, I can just copy a block and paste it on a device it doesn't belong on. Yeah, wireless is one of the best things they've added to the game. I love that inventory management capability. I mean, I wish it was a little bit more automated. I wish I had pipes and, you know, the ability to sort automatically on the station and the ability to sort an inventory. Like, there's a lot of stuff they could do to improve that. But as an initial first crack at it, it's not bad. It makes it really easy to manage inventories. It really does. At least if you name your cargo boxes anyways. Then it makes it easy. If you don't, you're kind of SOL. But yeah. You can hit N, click debug, click building, and you can go ahead and you can use these tools in Creative to copy and paste these from this tree to any structure. And you can make this tree yourself. Spawn in a base pad, a CV pad, an HV pad, and an SV pad. Yeah, you know what I mean. All of them. Put all the devices right in a line, right around that square, and just copy and paste them into a custom model tree similar to this. It's really easy. And you can just pick parts off as you need them. And you can experiment and figure out what works and what doesn't. It's real nice. Is there anywhere I can find the information to help me do this? Not really. I mean, the information's kind of so simple, I didn't think anybody would need it. In my opinion. Again, in my opinion. I'll do a separate video today. Let me write that down. I'll put that back to back with this, how to create the model tree, so you can do this stuff yourself. Give me a moment here. Let me grab my sheet here out of my notebook, and we'll add this. And we'll do a video on copy paste tools. As a matter of fact, that could be our next video. We'll do that. And if you guys have any other requests, I'll make a video on it. Definitely make a request, and I'll make a video with a tutorial on how to do stuff. This stuff doesn't get documented very often, and it's much easier to just record it on video than try to write it all down, especially when you got an audience that's willing to help. So we'll do a copy paste tools next. So anyways, there's the basics on logistics and everything. Now, editing the base and doing stuff are really simple. Let's say I don't like those turrets up there. I can select my multi-tool, hit F5, take my drone up. It does have a distance limit. And I can knock parts off with this tool. Now, you can't use weapons remotely, but you can use this stuff. So, base editing, just remember your drone can reach places you can't, and you don't have to worry about it. You just use the base drone, or you just use your drone, and you can edit pretty much everything, whether you're in space, on planet, doesn't matter. Now, you can't use your drone too close to a POI sometimes. I have managed to glitch my drone out in some POIs. So, I can't say you can't use it in a POI at all. It's kind of circumstantial. Sometimes you'll get to pop it out and be able to, just bug it free. Sometimes it won't let you. I don't know why it's that way, but it just is what it is. Yeah, I wish it had a little bit more range. I wish it was upgradable, modular. I wish it carried its own inventory. I got a whole range of wish lists for the drone. I wish I could have several of them to go out and deal with tasks. We don't have that, so give me a few minutes, guys. Let me switch to this other video. I'm going to end this so that when I transfer this stuff to YouTube, it's real easy. And we'll move on to the copy-paste tools. I'll show you some of that stuff. Give me a minute, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.